This is Dateline News and Conversation. My guest tonight is Dan Yaseen. He hosts a regular radio show. It's called Speaking Truth to Empire. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Regis.
I would like you to tell me a little bit about yourself and your background first.
Okay. I am a Pakistani American. I came to US in March 1974 to go to college at Michigan State University, got a degree in electrical engineering. And so this is my 50th year in the US. I stayed at Michigan State a couple of years, then moved to Texas for a couple of years, and then a year in Colorado, and I've been in California since 1979. So that's 44 years of my life in California. And I was just part of the rat race, doing everything that we do to make a living and stay on top until 9/11 happened. And 9/11 got me connected to the local progressive community in Fresno. And I was there at the beginning of Peace Fresno. So I am one of the co-founder of Peace Fresno, still involved with Peace Fresno. But that gave me an opportunity to get connected with many progressive groups in Fresno, and we got connected with racial group, immigrant justice group, social and economic justice group, LGBTQ. So we had connection with all of them, but from the beginning, Peace Fresno is, and so am I, passionately anti-war and anti-imperialism. So that's what I have done over the years, and we continue to do that. So after 9/11 is the connection, like I said, with the peace movement. So that's over 21 years, getting into the 22nd year that I've been a peace and justice activist. And as I said, I got connected with many local groups, and we were fortunate around 9/11 that Fresno Center for Nonviolence has existed at that time. So they were, some of the people on that board were instrumental in getting us together at the meeting at the Center for Nonviolence. And out of that those meetings came, Peace Fresno came out of those meetings. And we have continued to do that. I got connected with them. I'm on their on the board of Center for Nonviolence as well. I'm still vice president of Peace Fresno. And then I was also got connected with the Community Alliance newspaper, because newspaper existed. There were many. I was surprised to find so many progressive groups and people in Fresno. So the newspaper had existed. So had KFCF, where I do my radio show. KFCF is affiliated with Pacifica. So most of our programming comes from KPFA in Berkeley, but there are many local programs being done on local KFCF station, which is what my radio show is on.
Okay, we first met, it was several years ago. I forget exactly which year it was now, when our good friend Angela Price invited me to Fresno to screen my film. And that's when we met. And so I want to give a shout out to Angela and Merlin Price, my very good friends. They hosted me on both of the trips that I took to Fresno. Now, Dan, when did you start your radio show, Speaking Truth to Empire? And as you mentioned, it's on Pacifica Radio, specifically KPFA in Berkeley. When did you start the show?
Okay, the radio show is not on KPFA, it's on KFCF 88.1 FM in Fresno, which is, like I said, affiliated with KPFA, Pacifica and KPFA. So most of our programming on the local radio station come from KPFA, but the shows that are produced locally in Fresno, so my show is one of those shows. So 20%, 25% of the programming are local, or the station decides what's on. So my show is on KFCF. I started doing, as I said, I made connection with the local uh, peace community and stuff. So I was invited to do a radio show in 2010. So I've been doing that show for a very long time. And as you mentioned, I we got connected. I don't remember the exact year either, but that was after your documentary "Ghosts of Jeju." When you have done that, so you came to Fresno, and we met there. And after that, you had been on my show a few times also. And then the next time you came out, when you had your next documentary, that was, I think, uh, 3 minutes to midnight.
30 seconds to
Was
midnight.
it 30 seconds? Okay, yes. So, yeah, so that's the second time you came. So, yes, Angela, who was very active with the Center for Nonviolence from the beginning when it started. And she was instrumental in inviting me here. And I was very impressed with your film, The Ghost of Jeju, especially. And we got connected. So we have known each other for that long. So you are one of the many, many people that I have interviewed over the years on my show. And as well, your friend Bruce Gagnon is another one that has been on my show a few times. I basically interview people who are activist, blogger, author, and columnist that write on a regular basis, nationally and internationally known. I've interviewed people like Cindy Sheehan, Medea Benjamin. I just interviewed 2 days ago Kathy Kelly, David Swanson, Christian Sorensen, and let's see, I've interviewed Scott Ritter, Jody Evans, um, Ray McGovern. So many of these people have been on my show over the years, and that helps me keep connected with the people that are writing about geopolitics, because I've always been interested in geopolitics. But as I got involved, I evolved more and more being an anti war and anti empire activist.
So that's impressive list of people that you've interviewed. Um, Tell me, how do you find these people? How do you get in touch with them?
Well, I read quite a bit, as you know, because you are on top of what's going on in, yeah, geopolitically speaking. So we have to keep uh, tabs on, uh, especially the Western imperialism. So geopolitics is my passion also. So we have to do that. So I read. I spend a lot of time on the internet. I'm on like a dozen email lists, and there are another dozen websites that I go on a regular basis and glance through what's being written. And whenever I get inspired by something I read, and then that motivates me to do my next show based on that. My show is monthly, and as I said, it is on KFCF 88.1 FM. So I interview, but the show is local, which has a Central California audience. But what I started doing several years ago is I was invited by Cindy Sheehan and David Swanson to put my show on their website. So after I record my show, I upload it on my SoundCloud account, and I've been putting that on your website, so I get audience beyond national audience. But in 2015, one of my connection that I'm very proud of that I had is with Andrei Volchak, uh, wonderful author, uh, blogger, and a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, who was unfortunately died in an accident a couple of years ago in Turkey. So we invited him to come to Fresno in 2015, and when he was here, we did a program with him, which was very successful. But he got me connected with Veterans Today website, which is one of the top progressive alternative websites. And every month I upload my show on their website, and that gives me my show international audience. So the people all over the world are able to access that thing because that website is international. So that's the other way I get a much wider audience for my radio show, not just Fresno and the Central Valley.
Well, that's really impressive. But you don't have your own website. You upload to these others, David Swanson's World Beyond War and the Veterans. You don't have your own website.
My shows are archived since 2015 on my SoundCloud account. So all the shows are there. So it's
And
audio only.
how can people access this SoundCloud? How do they find it?
They can just go to soundcloud.com/speaking truth 2 empire. soundcloud.com speaking no I'm sorry slash soundcloud.com slash speaking truth 2 empire, and it will give them access to all my shows since 2015.
Okay, very good.
They are archived there. They are archived there, permanent archive. Yeah.
So how long do your shows last?
The show is a 30-minute show. And as I said, it is based on whatever they have written or their activism. People thought I just talk about what people write. So when I interviewed you, we talked about your film that you have done and whatever you were doing at that time. So article, like I said, since I read quite a bit on internet, so whatever motivates me, the current issue like this year, for last almost several months, 8 or 10 months, I've done many shows on Ukraine war, so or U.S. NATO war. So I've done many shows. People like Scott Ritter and um, let's see, Ray McGovern, and many of these people that are writing about it, speaking about it. So I've interviewed these people, and I continue to do that. And then military-industrial complex, I interviewed Christian Sorensen 2 months ago. I've interviewed Medea Benjamin and Jody Evans. So I can talk about a little bit of the peace movement in general also, what's going on with that.
Okay, before you do that, um, tell me about your studio and the radio station in Fresno. When you interviewed me the first two times, you interviewed me inside the studio. Is it a community access station?
Yes, it is community supported. We don't have any advertisement or um, corporate and government funding at all. So it is community supported. So the people, uh, we do fundraising about 4 times a year, and the fundraising is done. So the people, the local community, is listener supported, support the radio station, and it's a small studio and a small station, and it has one studio. So we do the show in this. I am in the studio, and um, seldom I have people in the studio. Most of the time, the people I'm interviewing are different part of the country, and sometimes even different part. I have interviewed you when you are in um, Crimea. So we have done that. And previously, yeah, like I said, when you were here, I interviewed you at least one time in the studio. But most of the time, I'm there by myself and I'm connected via telephone with the person I'm interviewing.
Yeah. So tell me about your involvement now with the peace movement in Fresno.
Okay, as I said, Peace Fresno is anti-war and anti-imperialism group. So we and anti-militarism. We are just very much opposed to militarism because, as they say, preparation for war makes war happen, and militarism basically is preparation for war. Uh, without talking about how much money we spend, which is huge amount. I mean, it's over $1 trillion a year that U.S. spends on military and military bases all over the world, and that not only, like I said, creates a lot of problem and wars. It also takes away money from needs of the people. I mean, the homelessness is rampant in United States. Infrastructure is crumbling. Education is suffering, and housing is a huge problem. People can't. I mean, it's just getting situation is getting one. The economic inequalities is becoming worse in United States, comparable to the underdeveloped and third world countries. So that's has always been the problem, and things seems to be getting worse all the time. And Peace Fresno, we always brought these issues forward. So we continue to do that. In the beginning, like I said, we started after 9/11. At that time, since it was a huge event, 9/11, there was a lot of passion, a lot of excitement about people. So we had many people that were interested, and that brought us to, let's see, February 15, 2003, a month before U.S. invasion of Iraq. That is supposedly one of the most widely attended anti-war protests that happened on that day throughout the world. And the estimates are 15, 20 million people came out. But unfortunately, it did not stop U.S. and NATO to invade Iraq. And you know we all know what a disaster that was. So those years, 2003, and then 4, 5, the movement, peace movement, was very strong all over the country and all over the world, actually. But 2006, one thing that happened, that is, Democrats took over Congress, or the House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi became the Speaker of the House, and for some reason, all of a sudden, the peace movement started getting to fizzle out, especially after 2 years later when Obama became president in 2008. So many peace activists who were passionate about opposing Bush's war, they didn't want to oppose Obama's war. So peace movement has been not dead, but has been dying, and very it's just changed so much. I'm just surprised to see that 2006 to now, and we are trying our best. So Peace Fresno is really one of the few groups that survived all of that, because many groups disappeared after Obama became president. but some major groups like Code Pink and World Beyond War and people like Cindy Still Continue, David Swanson, uh, Maria Benjamin, Kathy Kelly, who is the president of World Beyond War now, so board president. So they have continued their activism, and uh, we here locally, my partner Camille Russell and some of us have stayed involved with Peace Fresno and kept it going. So we are just trying our level best to revive the peace movement because with what's going on in Ukraine, and as our world is changing from unipolar to multipolar, we need to have a strong peace movement so we can avoid getting more involved and the threat of nuclear annihilation.
So, do you have a very strong group there in Fresno now? Are there many people involved, or over the years have people just kind of faded away?
Most of the people that have been involved have faded away, but we have been fortunate that we always had, like I said, there are about four of us that have been involved since the beginning. We are still part of the leadership group that keep this group going, but we have many new people that have come and provide us energy and new blood to continue doing that. And we are able to do that. We still stay connected, but of course, what happened in the last 3 years, the COVID. So we stopped doing any protest, any event. So none of that happened. We were not even meeting. Now we are doing hybrid meeting. So our meeting, which is second Tuesday of every month, and now we are starting to do more activism, regular protests, monthly protests, and we are adding another educational component starting next month to our meeting to have a discussion. It's besides having a business meeting once a month, we will have another meeting that will focus on educating ourselves. So we are working, trying to work those things out. Maybe we'll have people like you and stuff to have Zoom connection so we can talk a little bit. But anyway, that's work in progress. But there is so much out there, and for me, I've always thought that educating ourselves and educating others is the main purpose. I feel I've always been a good student on issues and things. So that's how I look at my show, which is an educational show, educating people about the issues that matters. So we are trying to have a, like I said, another meeting which is purpose is educational. So we educate ourselves, discuss ideas, and move on from there, and then go out and educate others.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more. Uh, that's how I've looked at my work, my film work, and the podcast. It's about educating people. And
Yes.
like you, I didn't feel there was any way you could put a price on that and put it behind a paywall because this information is so important and so needed that I just didn't feel you could put a price on it. And I know that's the same way that you're operating. Um, you mentioned you're covering a lot of geopolitical issues. Do you think that that's really where it's at today? Um, people are focusing now on the war in Ukraine
Hmm.
and who's winning, what's going on, who's sending Ukraine, more munitions and depleted uranium and long range missiles. Everybody's caught up in that. But I wonder if you would agree with this that what's really happening on a geopolitical level is a much bigger, epic battle for the future order of the world, a multipolar order. Yes?
Yes, I agree because all what you mentioned about who's supplying what kind of arms, this missile, that missile, Abrams tanks, and all kind of tanks, all of those things really is taking attention away of the public from the bigger picture. So, what has happened, as we know, as a student of history, that the imperialism, Western imperialism, which goes back 500 years, and that moved from European countries and came to early part of last century. U.S. became involved, and then we had a Cold War, post World War II, for 40 some years, and then we had the fall or the demise of the Soviet Union, and that started in 1991. You had a single hegemon United States, so a solar unipolar world we have been living under. But and then many people like Francis Fukuyama, and they just talked about that it's end of history. So U.S. or neoliberalism will rule the world. But now we are finding out in the last, I would say, 10 to 20 years, 20 years of Putin and 10 years of Xi Jinping has moved this world to completely different, moving it in different direction. And many people think we are already in the multipolar world, because what's going on in Ukraine is proof of that, and what China is doing. Um, U.S. is just being not a major player in many parts of the world. In Middle East, that U.S. has been there, I would probably say, all the way going back to post World War II, controlling Saudi Arabia, and now, and U.S. always works on divide and rule, while China is working on bringing people together. And the recent Saudi Arabia and Iran deal is a big accomplishment by China. So we are seeing that change already. So the bigger picture, and the mainstream media in US and in Europe also, they just try to take attention away from the bigger picture. As you said, we need to focus on that, and that's what my purpose is, and that's what you do also.
So, do you do any shows on one of the biggest distractions now is the upcoming election in the United States, with Donald Trump going all over the country and blah, 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 blah. Joseph Biden, there are some days I don't think he knows where he is. Do you cover any of that, any of the local politics?
I stay away from partisan politics because, as I understand, the U.S. Imperialism is a bipartisan. So both parties are uh, together on pouring money into defense contractors, military, industrial, congressional complex. So both parties support that. So no matter which president we have, they keep on us taking into one war after the other. So that is whether you have Congress controlled by Democrat or Republican, you have a Democratic president or Republican, that never changes. And since I am opposed to all of that, so for me, I mean, I do not support any of the two major parties. So I don't think the bringing the change in the world by supporting one candidate or the other is not. And it is like everything else. It's a divide and rule. They just uh, focus on smaller issues or other issues. They may not be smaller for some people, but we just get divided into partisan politics on issues with divisive issues like abortion, LGBTQ, racial justice, all of those things, since there is an equal divide. So they bring those up in the election, and we haven't done much of the political thing, so I don't do much any show about um, uh, on politics in that way. It just my focus is always anti-war and anti-empire.
Yeah, well, we agree on that. I stay away completely, totally from the political circus going on in the United States. When I do talk about it, it's in the context of the deep state and
Hmm.
who and what is driving um, the occupations of the United States military around the world,
Hmm.
who is driving the wars and the coups, and specifically this war in Ukraine. But the domestic politics, basically, just like you, I stay away from it. Dan, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really great to see you again. You've become a real good friend. You and your partner, Camille, and many other people in Fresno and the Fresno area who may remember me. I want to say hello and thank you to all of them.
Thank you, Regis. Thank you, for being uh, there when need for on my show. Whenever, like I said, I interviewed Kathy Kelly, and I'm gonna plan on doing certain things. So, anyway, I appreciate everything you do, and I will try to continue my struggle. We are on the same team, fighting for the same thing:
Yes,
liberty
we
and
are.
justice for all. Yes.
Thank you, Dan, and have
Thank
a
you.
great day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.